Johara. I'm Johara, and this video will be about this book called Seekers. There's 12 books in the series, and I love the author, Erin Hunter. She has a lot of books, and her series usually go on a while, or at least some of them do, not all of them. But, I mean, she has 4 different series. 2 of them are pretty new, so there's only like 6 books in each so far. And Survivors and Bravelanders are those 2. I haven't read them, but I know a little bit about them, not much. But I'm going to try them out someday after I finish my many books I have on my list, to see if they're any good. Because I honestly don't know if I'm going to like them just because I like some of her other books. You know, you never know. Seekers is my favorite of her books. She also has Warriors, which has lasted a long time. 36 I think there are? I think there's 36 books. I might be wrong. I'm bad at math. But I think there's 36. I haven't finished that. I've only read the first 12. And after I catch up on some of my reading, then I am going, because I bought a lot of books kind of recently, so I'm kind of behind. But once I finish this, like, I need to finish the Effigy series, and then I think it's a Wizard of Oz story, or something, I don't know. But I have books I need to finish, and once I do, I'm going to reread the 12 books I already read of Warriors, and then I'm going to finish this series, because I'm really want to find out what happens. But I want to reread the first 12 because it's been a while and I probably forgot a lot. At least I know I forgot stuff in the first 6. Second 6, I probably have forgotten stuff, just not as much as the first 6. But anyways, I will make a Warriors video and maybe a Survivors and Bravelanders if I end up liking them. But I'll definitely make a Warriors, but not until after I finish all of them, so it's probably going to be a while before I make one. But this video is about Seekers. My favorite character is Kalik. She is a polar bear, and she's kind, but she's also tough, you know? I guess there's 4 main bears: Kalik, Toklo, Lusa, and Udrak. Udrak is a shapeshifter. He can be any animal or flatface. Flatface is what they call... See, Erin Hunter, she gets really into her characters. So she really gets into the sense of being a bear. So bears don't know that we're called humans. So they call us flatfaces because compared to them, we have a flat face. I mean, the only thing that's not flat about our face are our nose, right? But they call roads black paths. And they call cars fireys. And they call our houses dens, because that's what they call their houses that they make. So they just figure, you know, this is where flatfaces live, so it must be their den, right? Because I guess that's kind of what it is. I mean, right? To bears, you know. That's one thing I love about this author, though. She really gets into her characters, and she's really descriptive, too. When she's talking about what they see or what they smell, she can be really descriptive, and I really love that about her. But, so Udrak is the shapeshifter. Lusa is, like, she's not really that tough. She grew up in a bear bowl, which is what bears call the zoo. And one day, because in the first book, none of them knew each other. The white bears were getting ready to leave because the ice was melting, and they were going to have to be on land for a little while until the ice gets back together, I guess. And Lusa was in the bear pool, never knowing adventure, never knowing what it's like to be a wild bear. Her dad used to be a wild bear, but he was brought in. And Toklo, he had it rough. See, Toklo and Kalik had it the most rough, if you ask me. But Toklo's rough started... Toklo's past was worse than when he was a cub, but when Kalik started getting older is when it got worse for her. Because Toklo, you find out that his mom had a couple cubs before him and his brother. But she lost, but they died. And then Toby, Toklo's brother, was ill and dying, and Oka was very, very concerned about her, kind of ignored Toklo because he was healthy, he was fine, he was energized, and Toklo felt he was just a cub, he didn't really understand why she paid more attention to him. And he kind of blamed his brother because he was weak and he didn't want to do anything. He just wanted to lay around, and Oka was always hovering over him. And Toklo, he just didn't understand. But then Toby ended up dying, and Oka couldn't watch Toklo die because she was sure he would die, even though he survived. And so she basically told him she didn't want to be around him. So they separated, and then Oka ended up in the Bear Bowl, and that's how Lusa met her. She was across from them, from the Black Bears, and Lusa talked to her and found out about Toklo, and Oka wanted Toklo to know that she loved her, so Lusa made it her mission to escape the Bear Bowl and find him, and because she did not know how big the wild was, and I'm still surprised she managed to find him. I mean, the wild is huge. You never know. It must have been fate for her to find him. But they end up finding each other at the end of the second book. Kalik, on the other hand, she didn't meet them until the end of the first book, is what I meant to say. Kalik didn't meet them until the second book, because her mom and they were going across the ice, heading for land, when an orca attacked them. And Nisa was trying to save them. And Kalik, she ended up dying, but Kalik and Takik got separated. Takik is Kalik's brother. And so Kalik made all she wanted to do the entire time was find him. She even got attacked by flat faces and ended up in a what did they call it? Metal bird, which is a plane. But then the metal bird ended up crashing. She did meet someone there who was kind of like a mother figure first, and she didn't have one anymore. And they crashed, and then her mother figure died. Go figure, right? But yeah, these bears just can't. They just. Anyways. It took a while, but they finally went to Great Bear Lake, because every sun circle, they have all bears, black, white, and brown, would meet at the Great Bear Lake to symbol peace, because usually those bears don't usually like each other, but during that time, they all are peaceful and get along as best as they could. Brown bears are kind of hostile, at least in this book. They're very hostile and don't even like each other very much, But when they got there, Kalik finally found Takik, but he had gone into a bad crowd, and they were being very mean to other bears. They even kidnapped a black bear who Lusa had gotten close to. And so Kalik joined them to stop her brother and save Miki. And they did. And Takik realized that they were right and that this was wrong, so he stopped and helped them. And then Kalik and Takik joined them on their journey. Takik didn't last there very long because he hated being around other bears besides white bears. He wanted to bring Kalik back to the melting sea with him. But Kalik didn't want to. I mean, she wanted to be with her brother, but she wanted to be with her new friends because they've become more than friends. They've become like family, and all of them have a very weird. Toklo and Kalik, both their families didn't last long, and Utrecht didn't even remember who his family was. And Lusa, she knew her family was safe, so she was in the clear. But everyone else knew that their family, Utrecht didn't know, which in some ways could be a lot worse. But Kalik and Toklo, they knew, and it was hurtful, Kalik knew her mother was dead. She watched her mother die, right in front of her. Okay, and Toklo, his mom ended up dying. right before Lusa left to find Toklo, and Toklo was still furious at his mom. Didn't want to hear anything Lusa said, but they kept on their journey. Takik ended up leaving the group because that just wasn't for him like it was for Kalik. But they kept on their journey. They got into a lot of trouble. You know, they fought throughout the 12 books. They fought flat faces. They fought wolves. They fought orcas. What else did they fight? They fought a lot of things. A lot. But the 6th book, Udrak ended up dying. There was an avalanche, and he ended up saving them. But because they found an island called Star Island, full of white bears, you know, and Kelly got in close to this one bear, Yokon, and they started falling for each other, and they knew that their journey wasn't over, so they had to go, and they knew they were gonna have to separate eventually, so they decided to go to where each bear would find their home. So Kalik would be in the ice. She was going to go to where Takik was, at the melting sea. Toklo would be at the woods forest, something like that, and Lucy would be surrounded by a bunch of trees, because black bears love trees. And so they decided to keep on their journey. Yokon joined them, and they kept on going. They finally went to the melting sea and found Takik back with those same bears that caused trouble before. So Kalik had to get through his head again, and they had to stop him. Toklo did find a girl. I forgot her name, but they got close. I don't think they liked each other at first. I think she was mad that he was a part of them at first, because they were kind of taking over the ice, I guess you can call it. So they had to stop them. Salak, the main bear of that group, probably hates Kalik. I mean, Kalik's the one that keeps stopping him, you know? It's Kalik that's getting Takik to get away from him. It's Kalik that is determined to stop them at any cost. So, he probably hates Kalik. Kalik and Yokon decided to stay with them a little longer. Until they find their homes, and then they were double back to the melting sea, because she didn't want to leave them yet. She wanted to be with them, and Yokon agreed because he didn't want to be without her. So they kept going until they found Tokolo's place, where they end up finding his father. And because apparently he never knew his father. You know, when he finds out when him and his brother were just cubs, even really, really little cubs, he forced them out of his territory because he didn't want to be a father, I guess. I don't know, but it was messed up. And then Toklo got angry. Like, he's always angry, but this was different. He got angry. But they all have dreams sometimes of Udrak, because after he died, he was up in the sky, you know, stars. He became like a star with his mom, and they could always look up and pinpoint where he is. Well, mostly at night. I don't think they can during the day. They can at night find where they are. And so they had to, so they have dreams of him, and he helps them whenever there's danger or something. He comes in, gives them advice in their dreams, or sometimes he would form. Like one time he formed, what did he become? Because since he's a shapeshifter, he became, was it a caribou? I don't remember. But he shapeshifted into something, and he showed Lusa what to do when she was struggling. Because I think that was the very last book. Because some of the black bears were very injured trying to make it to Great Bear Lake. Some black bears that she was gotten close to last time she was there. Oh well. Anyways, after Toklo ended up meeting someone in a territory near his father's, called Ayana, and they ain't gotten close. He decided, but he decided to go with Kalik and Lucy and Yukon to Great Bear Lake because that's where they were going to go, and Lucy was hoping to find Miki so she could go with them to wherever territory they live in. And Toklo promised Ayana he'd be back, and he made a vow that he was going to chase out his father from his own territory since he was old. At that point, Toklo knew he would be able to beat him and chase him out. And in the last chapter of the last book, it was kind of a flash forward, one sun circle later with when they all have cups and stuff, and they mentioned that he does do that, and then him, Ayana, and their daughter end up living in his father's old territory. But they do end up making it to Great Bear Lake. Oh, Yukon, he ended up getting stepped in a bear trap and losing a couple of his toes and almost died. And Kalik, she could not lose anyone else. She was freaking out at the thought of losing him. But by the time they got Great Bear Lake, he kind of given up. You know, he thought he was useless. He thought Kalik wouldn't want him. It was really sad. Him and Yukon decided to go back to Star Island rather than Melting Sea after Great Bear Lake. But they were all there, and every time they tried to hang out together, they got judged by everyone else. Because even though it was peaceful, there's no fighting between the bears. They still don't like each other, you know. But they wanted to hang out. You know, it was their last time that they were going to be together until next sun circle, because they agreed that every sun circle they're going to go back to Great Bear Lake, and no matter how everyone feels, they're going to hang out. You know, but it was kind of hard to find a way to hang out with all of that. But they had these trials to find out who was going to lead the ceremony, because there's one of each bear to lead the ceremony. But the bear who led the white, I think the bear led the white bear, and the bear who led the brown bear recently died, so they needed new people to lead the ceremony. But Kalik and Yukon completely had it out, because Kalik thought he didn't want her anymore, but when Yukon thought she didn't want him anymore, it was a big mess, you know, trouble of communication. Finally, Yukon told Kalik how he felt, and Kalik told Yukon how she felt, and they finally made up, and it was a lot better, good, because I didn't like to see them fight. I mean, it didn't really get too much into Toklo and Ayana's relationship. I mean, it showed them while he was at his the place he was going to live once their journey's done. And then she did come in the middle of that book to Great Bear Lake. Well, maybe not the middle, maybe a little bit before the middle, I don't know. But she did come, and a bear who absolutely hated Toklo kept hitting on her, not because he wanted to be with her, just because he hated Toklo, which is kind of low. And she actually thought he was nice at first, because he was pretending to be nice around her when he was really a big jerk. Yeah, really big jerk. And but she finally saw his true colors, and it didn't matter even if she did think he was nice till the end, because she had feelings for Toklo, and that wasn't going to change. You know, and Lusa, there were two bears who had a crush on her, Osi and Miki, but she liked Miki, and then when Osi saw them, you know, together, he got all jealous. But then when it showed that flashback for sun circle later, and they all had cubs, she saw Osi, and he had a new mate. They didn't have any cubs yet. They might have just met, or met not too long ago and was ready for cubs. I don't know, but no cubs yet. But Lucy was happy that he was happy, because she still cared about him. She just cared about Miki more, and I'm kind of glad she chose Miki. I wanted her to choose Miki, so I was happy about that. But a bear from their past, I don't remember which book, but a bear from their past, he was, I forgot his name too, but he was half white bear, half brown bear, because his dad was a white bear, I think, and his mom was a brown bear. Maybe it was vice versa. Anyways, he was half, and he hated it, and he'd rather just be a brown bear, and he hated his white bear family. And he tricked Toklo into thinking that his family didn't want him because he was half. And so Tokolo, and he got close to Tokolo since he was the only brown bear at the time, because I think this was after Udrak died. So he was the only brown bear at the time. So he got close to him, hated Kellik, and Lusa and Yokan tried to get Tokolo to leave them and just be with him. I didn't like him at all. He was really mean to Kellik. No, I think it was Lusa he was the meanest to, because she was a black bear, and I think it was Kellik, because he hated white bears. It was white bears he hated because he was half white and he hated it. So I think it was Kellik he was really mean to. I might be wrong, but I think so. Anyways, but then Tokolo ended up finding out he lied, and his family was really worried about him, and then, the bear got all mad and stormed away from his family and Tokolo and everyone, and then he came back during Great Bear Lake in the last book, and he started trying to hurt them and caused a fire there too, and they all had to, luckily, a couple of the bears, who was it? Yeah, it was Tokolo and another bear cub he had gotten close to, found this place a little bit away from Great Bear Lake. It was like a little cave, and they all hid there, and they all had to work together, even though, these bears don't really like any other bear kind, but they had to work together to survive. And at the end, Kellik, Tokolo, and Lusa made it clear that they had to work together, and bears have the same enemies: Flatfaces, some of the other things, wolves, coyotes, they fought all of them. And bears all have the same enemies, so they all have to realize that they're better to work together than separate. And then it was one sun circle later, and Kellik came back with Yokan, and she had 2 sons, Chulin and Zuka. Then Tokolo came back with a daughter, with Ayana, and a daughter, Oka, to name after his mom. And Lusa came back with Miki and had a son and a daughter, Aisha and Yogi. Aisha was her mom in the Bear Bowl, and Yogi was her best friend in the Bear Bowl. And I still think Kellik should have named one of her sons Udrak. That kind of annoyed me that no one named their son Udrak, but that really annoyed me because, they all miss Udrak and they all love him. He was like a brother to them, their family, and it made me kind of sad that no one named their son Udrak. But in my fan fiction on Wattpad, I have Wattpad if you guys do too. It's Adorable JoJo. Please look it up, follow me, read some of my books. I do mostly fan fiction because I want to be an author, but I'm going to do the books that are 100% my idea. I'm writing on pencil and paper to get published someday. So on Wattpad I do mostly fan fiction. There is some non-fan fiction, but I have a Seekers one. So if you do like Seekers, like this video and read my Seekers fan fiction. I started it not too long ago, so it's not that far in. Kind of. I think I already got into chapter 20, haven't I? I don't know. But anyways, I did have Kellik have a couple more kids on that book. Udrak and what was her name? Nanook. The bear that took care of her on the flying bird, a metal bird. That's what it was called. I did have Taki. It never really said if Taki had any kids, but I like to think that he had at least a daughter to name Nisa. But in my book, I had him have a couple other kids, but Nisa's the only one I remember the name of for that one. But I think it should have showed if Taki had any kids. He had a mate, and I think it should have showed Taki come back with his mate and at least a daughter to name Nanook. Maybe more cubs. I don't know, but I think that would have been nice. Not Nanook, Nisa for Takik. Yeah, because Nisa's their mom's name. Anyways, in my fanfiction, I have Silak, the bear that Taki kept getting in trouble with, be the main enemy. He wants revenge on Kalik, so I kind of thought that would be interesting. So if you like that, if you like the idea of Silak trying to get revenge on Kalik, please look at my book. I hope you like it. Anyways, back to Seekers and our fanfiction. The bears were all judgy still, even after the big speech and agreement that they should work together rather than apart to survive in this cruel, cruel world. They still looked judgy when the 4 of them wanted to hang out, or 3 of them. No, Yukon's a part of their family now because he was with them in the last half of their journey. Anyways, but they just ignored it and wanted to hang out together because they haven't seen each other since last Sun Circle, and they know that they will only be able to see each other every Sun Circle, and it was kind of sad, and they don't, yeah, so. But the ending was pretty good. I'm glad that it showed them with their cubs and mates and all happy because they've all had a really rough journey, you know. I know I said Kalik and Toklo had it the worst, but Lusa had it pretty bad too at times. I mean, she's been kidnapped, Toklo's been kidnapped, Kalik's been kidnapped. They've all almost died. You know, Udrak got once when he went in as a whale, I think it was. He shifted to a whale. He ended up getting a fish hook stuck in his mouth, and they had to get him to transform into a flat face. So that the nearby flat faces will heal him, because they didn't know what to do. So once Udrak was healed, he had to find a way to escape to go back to the others and shapeshift to a bear. Because he'd rather be a bear. He only shifted to other things whenever. And it took a long time to control his shapeshifting. I mean, when he first shapeshifts into something, he becomes that animal, and then he forgets that he's actually a bear, and it takes a while for him to remember. I think, yeah, after a while he is able to control it better. Yeah, I miss Udrak. I was sad when he died. I cry every time I read about it because it's really sad. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on this. And at the end, they were all really happy, which really made me happy because they more than deserved it. I mean, they all went through. Wow, they all just deserved peace and happiness, which they haven't had in a long time. Some of them never had it until then, you know? Like, it was just terrible. But they were all happy. I still think Kalik should have named one of her sons Udrak, or someone should have named one of their sons Udrak. Someone. I don't know. But, it was, but I guess that's all my thoughts on Seekers. And I will make a Warriors book if you're a fan of those, and maybe a Survivors or Brave Learners, depending if I end up liking them. But the Warriors definitely won't be a while. If I do make one for the other 2 series, that won't be a while either, because I'm going to read those after Warriors, because I'd rather read Warriors first. No offense. But, so if you liked this video, please subscribe and like and subscribe. And, oh yeah, before I go, I am going to start these videos I will call This or That. I already have a whole bunch of ideas for it. Like, I will do Harry Potter versus Fantastic Beasts, and I will say which one I think is better, and I'll ask you which one you think is better, and you can write down in the comments if you think it's better, which one you think is better and why. And you know, I have so many ideas for that. You know, New Charm versus Old Charmed, and Harry Potter versus Twilight. You know, I have so many ideas for that. So I don't know when I'm going to start that, but I will. And you'll be able to tell because it'll be called This or That. And I'll probably add like numbers like this or that part 1, this or that part 2, kind of do like that. So, but I hope you try those out. I don't know when I'm going to make them, whenever I feel like, I guess. So please give them a try, and I hope you like this video, and I hope you will follow me on Wattpad if you have a Wattpad account. If you don't, you should really get one. It's really fun. You know, you can write books, you can read other people's books. It's I love it. So thank you for watching. Have a lovely day, and I will see you when I make my next video.